Thank you for joining CU Bands and Fans podcast. Our podcast is brought to you by Homegrown KIO. Homegrown KIO is on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. It is a stellar show featuring the great songs that have come from bands originating in Champaign, Urbana. Listen at 107.9 on your FM dial, at 1079wkio.com, or ask Alexa to play WKIO. Hey, it's Terry with CU Bands and Fans podcast, where musicians tell their story with my co-host, Zach Woodup. How are you, Zach?
Good. Hi, folks.
Good. And our special guest is Joe Asselin. Joe has been a musician for a long time. I mean, I don't even know how long, but we're going to find out. Been involved in several bands, and he has created some amazing music. And we're excited to have you on, Joe. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm doing well.
Good. So we were having a little pre-discussion before Zach signed on. And I was telling Joe that I Googled him, and he's on Wikipedia. So pretty fascinating. So if you go and Google him, Joe Asselin, you'll find him on Wikipedia, and it's pretty informative.
Yeah.
So from there, and Joe, you're not originally from here, are you?
Nope, I'm from New England, a small town in Maine, southern seacoast called York Beach, Maine.
Down
Wow.
east.
Down east, yeah. Yeah. I was born in Manchester, New Hampshire. I lived in Manchester or Litchfield until I was about 8, and then moved to York, and then moved here when I was like 22, I think. Yeah.
Oh, so did you move here on your own then, not with your family?
No, actually, I had my brother living here. He was at school at the U of I. He was a grad student, so I kind of had a place to rest my head, to figure things out, I guess, Um,
So that's what brought you to Illinois?
yeah.
Because bringing you to Illinois.
That's how I got here. Yeah. I kind of needed to get away from my hometown, and my brother put it really good. He's like, if you put a tree in a pot, it will only grow so high, and then your roots will start getting clustered, and you got to transplant that tree in a bigger plot or someplace else so you can grow more. So I took that to heart, and then that's when I moved here. Yeah.
And then, so had you always been a musician, or is that something you just?
Music's been in my family. For my brothers played guitar. My mom and dad always played music, the oldies, and Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, all that old good stuff. And my brothers all listened to like heavy metal and rock and such, coming up in the 80s. So, all the old school Rat, Judas Priest, Twisted Sister, and all that stuff. My brothers, tried to emulate that sound playing guitar. I really didn't touch music until maybe I think I was in 5th grade or 4th grade. 5th grade, I learned a little piano for music class, and that's when I started getting more into music. Yeah.
When did you move that towards guitar?
Well, guitar came later. First thing came was the harmonica. So like, since like my brothers, like, I had 3 older brothers, so I kind of looked up to them, of course, and so I'd always snag their tapes or their, vinyls or such, or cassettes, and go looking through their truck or car for them. And so I went looking through my brother's truck and found a harmonica in his glove compartment, and I was like, oh, he probably doesn't need this. So I snagged that, and the closest thing I had that kind of seemed like it would go along to was AC/DC. So like I was really, a big AC/DC fan. And so I was trying to play this harmonica along to AC/DC, driving everybody nuts. Yeah.
Well, you sure, I mean, I don't know if your brother did need that or not, but you sure did, because you really honed in on that. You
Thank you.
are the amazing, intense harmonica player I have ever heard. You hit that thing like it's crazy. So when you began to play it, you just took to it and you stayed with it.
Yeah. So So I think it was a key of C harmonica or E harmonica. I can't quite remember, but it ended up being my grandfather's harmonica. So my grandfather had given it to my brother, and then I ended up with it. Um, and so really, I just kind of try to emulate sound or try to sing along to songs with it. Um, and then I ended up getting into Stevie Ray Vaughan, some more blues stuff that kind of pushed me into a cassette I ended up getting probably about when I was 13 or 14 that had all these different harmonica players on it. I was like, what is this? You know, I had Sonny Boy Williamson first, the second had Howlin' Wolf, Junior Wells, Little Walter, you know, all these cats. And I'm like, man, this is how you play harmonica, you know. So that's how I started trying to emulate it. Yeah.
And that's fascinating that that you just never know what's going to influence someone, or kind of like consume them a little bit to where they're passionate about it and they truly want to learn it and they stay with it. I mean, harmonica, I would be like, yeah, I can't do this.
It was
Now,
really cool. I was really blown away on how the sounds were out of it. You know, as a kid, you know, I never heard stuff like that. In fact, there was a band in Portsmouth, New Hampshire called Doc Johnson Blues Band or something. I can't. If that's what it was. I think it was that. He was a heck of a harmonica player. So I ended up getting one of his cassettes, and then start emulating that tonality. So the sound of it was really cool to me. It was different. And then I had to learn keys, right? Because I was like, this doesn't sound right. What? How do you play in the right key? And we didn't have YouTube or anything. So I found out on Lee Oscar harmonicas it tells you what key it is in, and then the second position. So second position is called cross harp, where most blues players, play cross harp. So if it's in the key of C, you play an F harmonica. So if it's a C harmonica, usually it's in the key of G. So that's how I started learning that, and then I had to listen to it because heck, if I knew what key it was, I was listening, so I'd be like, oh, that's not right. Wait, that's it, and then
so you're kind of self-taught. I mean, you learned old school.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, like you said, there was no YouTube, there was no, anything that you could like watch and take after. So
No,
definitely, I knew it was old school when you said cassette tapes and things like
vinyl, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
best. And from there, and you mentioned blues, which you have a really deep blues sound. So that must be your kind of roots there a little bit.
That's what resonated the most with me. Yeah, it was blues.
I saw you for years and years. I saw you playing with Kilborn Alley,
hmm
playing harp with Kilborn Alley.
For 10 years, we all came up together. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Me and Andy, we still hang out, we talk, and we're actually
Mhm.
doing some shows together. Andy, myself, and Lindsay, and it's fun just kind of talking back to the days. Because we never practiced. Our thing was our practice was listening to blues, or listening to music, or listening to, and then gigging. That's how we practiced. We
Yeah.
would go out and play gigs, and then we'd be like, what song are we going to play next? I don't know. There's a shuffle. Let's do a shuffle. All right, cool. And then Andy would sing something, and it's really was a cool, fun time. Yeah.
Well, very incredible talent. The talent is just off the charts. So how did you meet those guys?
Oh, geez. I met Andy at the Canopy Club. Now that can be a different story because, we're not sure yet but that's exactly where I know I met Andy. Now I had a little bit of a drinking problem back in those days. So, but me and, what it was an open mic. Actually, Tom Grassman was hosting these open mics at Canopy Club. It was on
Mm.
Tuesdays, and they had like $2 Long Island iced teas, and it was a really cool time. And so when I first moved here, I heard about it, and I was like, oh, I want to go check out this and play this open mic. And I did, brought my guitar and played a few nights, and then one night I was walking throughout, and then I heard this dude sing, and I'm like, that's some Robert Johnson. I'm like, who the hell is that? He's playing Hot Tamales and a Red Hot, and I'll never forget it. And I was like, man, we got to get to know each other. So that's how we all met. Yeah.
You know what? was it Jeremy Harper that we did a podcast with? And Jeremy was, I don't know, a teenager, and like a band that they got together when they were kids. And he said they all went to this party because they were playing, they couldn't play anywhere else. So they were playing at this people's house party. They were all just kids, but he said he went in the back and this band kicked up and he was like, who in the hell is that? Because I've got to find out who this is. And it was Andy, it was Kilborn Alley.
Playing them house parties.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he goes, oh my God, they were just, killer. And I'm like, and they still are, So you were with him for 10 years. That's a long time.
Yeah. We all built our roots together. We all kind of found our way and found a direction, for and that's the best way to describe that experience, Yeah.
Yeah.
And we created lifelong friendships, Yeah.
And really, playing with, you're all the best of the best. And together it's just infamous. It's fantastic. Did you travel with them? Did you do any?
Oh yeah, we went to Alaska. I actually had left before they went to make their first trip over to Europe. But we, there was so many great times. Like I could only imagine the trips over to Europe were a lot of fun, but like what we did coming up were playing places in Chicago, would try to get gigs, would drive, or Andy's dad actually did a lot of the booking for us and would send packs to different places. But we played this one place called Boss Man's in the south side of Chicago. Really just this pure hole in the wall, dirty blues feel. It's great, It's exactly what you would picture it to be. And, they had all their food set up and so all these kids come in this Astro van. That's what we drove in, this little Astro van. Five white kids come out to play this place in Boss Man's in the south side of Chicago. And these guys were like, who the hell is this? And then they just loved us, because that's what we tried that's how we try to build our ground,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So why did you leave Kilborn Alley?
I kind of got burned out, played a lot of harmonica, want to play more guitar. Wanted to find myself some more, I guess.
Yeah, sure. You played also with Sugar Profits.
Oh yeah. Me,
You got to play guitar.
Yeah, that's when I started playing guitar. Well, not started, but people, were like, "Hey, wow, you play guitar too?" Yeah, the Sugar Profits was a blast. And actually, while playing with Kilborn, I played in this act called Finger Lickin'. I don't know if
I was going to ask you about that if you were in finger licking.
Oh yeah, Finger Lickin' one. That was at the office in Urbana. You remember those
Bob
days?
Watson.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Watson came in later, in the beginning it was me, John Nussbaum, Nate. I can't remember Nate's last name. Brendan Whalen, who was played 3 djembes and sat on them, like just insane. And then Jess Greenlee on drums. And
That's right. Yeah.
So that was the original. And so we had no songs. We just played, we jammed. So we did an hour-long sets, just maybe 2-3 songs, and it was just jam music. That
I remember those. Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah.
That is awesome. And then you went and so from there you went to Sugar Profits.
Yeah, that was kind of going on. I left Kilborn and I was kind of in, what's going on with my life. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know. And a spot opened up in Sugar Profits. Their guitar player moved back to like Kentucky or something like that. And not Applejack, because Applejack was still with them. And so I came into the picture and took his spot. And so it was me, Applejack, Josh, and Al on bass, and Bob was playing drums at a time. Yeah. Can't remember Bob's last name. Painter. The heck was Bob's last name?
That was another incredible, intense, crazy excellent band. Uh, I think I've seen them for some reason. I feel like I've seen them for the first time at
Oh, Bob Weber.
Bob Weber. Yes, Bob
Yeah.
Weber. Yep. Thank you.
thank
Yeah.
you, Zach, you little music history person in the brain.
Yeah.
I used to live 3 houses down from him.
Oh yeah, in
He
Urbana
was
there.
he moved somewhere else, Texas or somewhere.
Oh,
And
okay.
and I moved to Southwest Champaign, but he would have jams at his place on Tuesday evenings, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, those
Yeah,
were fun.
yeah. Bob's a great guy. Yeah, that was a monster band. We had a great time. Um, we ran
That's
that. Yeah, ran that. I think until like 2013. I think about that point. Yeah.
yeah, because we came in 2012, and it wasn't, yeah, it wasn't very long before that, than that, which we hated to see that kind of dissolve, but you
Hmm.
know, that's what it is. Bands come and go, but ooh, what an excellent. So you've really been, I'd say lucky, but I think it's more your talent has taken you to play with some really fantastic bands. And so you also played in, what was that? This is the one that I seen you in Sugar Profits, I believe, but this is the one that I really heard you in, and that is Joe Asselin and the Moonlight Ramblers.
Yeah.
Because you played next to in East Urbana. It used to be, oh, see, it was next to Crane Alley.
Mm.
Blackbird,
Yeah,
Blackbird.
Blackbird.
Yeah.
yeah. So I came into Blackburn to see you, and of course, listening and hearing bands through the camera is a totally different experience, because what you're doing when you have the camera up is you're watching for movement and certain actions to capture. So I did that for a little while, and then you kicked into some kind of guitar solo thing, and I was like, I set the camera down and just watched, and I was so impressed and so taken by that. It was so intense and so cool that yeah, and I mean you like do the stomping thing. I mean, you are into it. There you
Thank
are so in the moment when you're
that
playing.
that stomping thing, man. That kicks my butt. That will. I
Isn't
have
it's not it's you're purposely not doing that. That's just your reaction to your own
this
playing. And
happens. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
and then it gets into a kind of a fun game, like especially if like the stage has a nice click clock sound, like I wear my cowboy boots, and so if it has a nice click clock sound, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cool, because then now I can really snap that snare down with my foot. Um,
I'm telling you, I came away from there just going, I just experienced some of the most amazing moments right here. Like this
thank
was,
you.
I mean, Joe, my God, in all seriousness, you're so multi-talented, and I want to use the word intense.
Yeah,
I think you very intensely play, you know, whatever it is that you're playing. You give it like it's got all of you. And it's just so evident. Anybody that comes to see you or whatever, it's very evident that that's you. That's what you're doing at that moment, and you're not distracted, and you're just focused. So it's just your whole being just is represented in that time. So
thank you.
um you're welcome. That being said, so Joe Asselin, the Moonlight Ramblers,
Hmm.
what happened? How long did that go?
I ran that for about a couple years. So I was doing that the same time while playing with William Marcella.
Mm.
And then also, so I was kind of doing those two. And then I was playing gigs with like John David Daly and doing gigs with Mary Jo um, out of another blues act. And I was just kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, she's good too.
So I was just kind of like, being a hired gun for a little while, so the Moonlight Ramblers was a lot of fun. The trio was a lot of fun, but I got to a point I was like, and and the thing was, I had given up music in 2000 and I don't know, about 2011, 12, 13, right around time the Sugar Profits and stuff. I was like, I think I'm just gonna take a break. And then Noah from William Marcella, I decided, well, before I turn 40, I want to. It's kind of a long story, but um, before
That's
I
right.
turned
Or-
the before I turned 40, I wanted to record a solo album. So I was like, I'm gonna put out a GoFundMe. And Noah's like, hey, you want to come make $100 every Sunday by playing a gig? And at that time, I kind of wasn't playing with nobody. I kind of walked away from it all, and I was like, at least got to do this. And so I started doing that, and then started getting more into it. And me and Noah started doing more gigs, and that led into William Marcella. And then that led into the Moonlight Ramblers. So the Moonlight Ramblers is kind of just like my little getaway to see if I want to really do solo stuff, if that's really want to be, and I really enjoyed it. But then I kind of fizzled away from it because it just got to be a lot going on at the same time.
It seems like, correct me if I'm wrong. So it seems like you really, 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 really wanted to do your originals, the
Yeah.
original music. And so that's kind of where you were getting to, is
Mhm.
these, I think after Kilborn, I could be wrong. I'm guess speculating here. But after Kilborn Alley, that's probably more of what you was looking for, was to kind of sit back and go, let me do my own thing.
Yeah, I try to gain the confidence for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Still always question it.
I think you gained it. So let's go ahead and talk about your original music, your own music. But and your own music is involved in, because you're in Black Eyed Lilies.
Yep.
And that is your own music, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So and you've recorded
Mm-hmm. Yep.
quite a bit. What's your first recording? What's your first song that you've recorded?
Like it's actually released, like the released one, like a released one would be Blowing Me Home. That would be the first one I recorded, and that's on that Blue Jeans album, which is an acoustic album. That song I had written years back, probably like 2005. And that's about coming home late from gigs, that was the first song. Because like you get done a gig at 1 o'clock in the morning, you load up, you're bound to get out about 2:30. You got an hour drive, and you get the window down. I smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, trying to stay awake. The cold air blowing in the window to try to keep you awake. So that's what that whole "Blowing Me Home" song was. Yeah.
I love I really love that. I could, like, when you were talking about it, I'm describing it, it's like, oh, I could, you could see that. So
Oh
I
yeah.
love that description. But so why was it titled Blue Jeans?
Because of the song $300 pair of worn out blue jeans. It's part of my favorite. Yeah.
How
And
many more?
it seemed fitting, like blue jeans, because I think it's blue and then GENES, right? But it's actually about the jeans, so it's like kind of put them both together, I guess, because
Yeah, and it's you say it's acoustic.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
How many songs are on that one?
I don't know. I think maybe 12 or 11.
Wow,
Maybe.
that's quite a
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I did see that on the links that I'm going to share, but I'll have to go in. And I know I've heard that song that you're talking about, because when you described it, I'm like, I think I've heard that before. I've heard that one. And so there, how many CDs or EPs or LPs or singles have you released so far? You've got quite a bit of music out there.
Oh, just myself or with everybody?
You.
Just me? Oh, well, I don't really have too much. I mean, I got a couple albums out and then a couple of singles out there too. Um, I think on Reverb Nation, I used to run Reverb Nation, but used to be a bunch of stuff on there. I just recorded at my house and threw out there, but heck if I know that's still there or not.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it is. So I have one of your CDs, and it's kind of in a auburnish. The cover is, I think it's you with a cowboy hat or something. It's kind of like a
Yep,
sketch.
Flathead Ford.
Yeah. What is that one? Flathead.
Yeah, Flathead Ford.
Yeah, which you did a music video to
hmm
that as well, featuring your wife.
Yep. She loved it.
Yeah, she did so good in that. I just
Awesome.
watched it go again too. Did she who videoed that?
I did all the videoing.
Are you kidding me?
Mm-mm.
Because it was cool the way she comes out of the house and then she gets in the car and because I noticed this kind of stuff because of what we do, but I noticed it went like from her getting in the car to just like you see her foot
Yep.
coming in and the door closing. I thought, oh, what a great transition. And then she looks in the mirror and does her makeup or adjust her lipstick and stuff like that, and then she takes off and I'm like, I wonder who videoed this, because that
Yeah,
was
I
good.
did. Thank you. I actually got my degree in 3D animation and game design when I had walked away from music. So I went to Parkland College and got my degree. And so I really found a new love that I really enjoy, which is videography and editing and After Effects and animation and stuff. So like the song Flathead Ford kind of came in at the right time because I had just understanding doing the video work and such. And really we shot that in a day. I got this Champaign Police Department. They came in on it to offer an actual cruiser, chasing her down the road in that car. And what was even funny was that the day of the shoot, we got there to shoot at my buddy Martin, and Martin was the drummer in Moonlight Ramblers. He actually has the T model Ford, so we were going to use a T model Ford, but his buddy showed up with the 32 coupe, which is supposed to have the original Flathead Ford. So that's what Mindy ended up driving, was that coupe. So,
Yeah. And
yeah.
I wondered about the police thing and all of that because it shows her coming down. I don't know what road it is, but she's going pretty fast.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, she's cruising pretty good. And I'm like, how did they get away with this on this?
Now
But
there's
now,
some editing involved too. There's some places where I sped it up, so like there's a
not tell
part.
you could not tell that's what you did. There's no way
Okay.
you could.
All right, I'll shut up then.
No, I'm saying in watching it, you cannot tell that that's what you did.
Oh, really? Cool. Thank you.
No, I thought that it was actually the speed rate that she was going, because I was like, holy cow.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
she's passing the billboard, I wanted to make her look like she was going faster. So the nice thing, it was a still shot, so I was able to speed up that scene a little bit,
Yeah.
And then like there's the scene where they're driving down the road. So I put the GoPro in the middle of the road, and I was like, all right, you're gonna drive right over it. They're like, drive over it? I'm like, yeah, just go slow and drive over it. And then I sped that up like 100 times fast, so it looks like going, right through it. So.
Man, it doesn't look like you had to do that editing. I mean, it just looks that's how fast she was going. So just a fantastic job on that video. Was that your first one?
Yeah, that was my first music video. Yeah. The funny part is on that one is when she actually leaves the officer in the dust, she goes that fast, and she stepped on it, man. I mean, she was gone. So that's actually.
So before you actually started videoing, did she drive that car for a little bit to get used to it? Nope, she just went for it. That's what I love.
And his buddy, so it was Mel Lawyer and Martin Mooney. Mel had the 32 coupe, and Mel was super cool about it. And the funny, not the funny part, but after the shoot was done, he was driving it home, and the transmission went out on him, and so they had to put it on a flatbed to bring it back to their house. So, but Mel was super cool about it, and they're all super cool about it. Yeah.
Good job on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Especially that being your first one, you just would never know that. So, and that's called Flathead.
Ford.
Flathead Ford, right?
Yeah.
So y'all can catch that on YouTube. that is on YouTube. I don't know if it's on TikTok or any of that, but
It was
you've
it was on Facebook. It should still be there, but Facebook is where I got the most views. I got like 270,000 views on Facebook off that because
did you load it directly to Facebook then?
I loaded it directly to Facebook, but I also shortened the version on Facebook so it goes like right in the song. On
Yeah.
YouTube, the version is start walking out and going to it, so it's not capturing the audience as fast. But I was like, I like it, so I left it. I think
And
it's
it being your own song, you didn't have to worry about Facebook removing it or any of that. Because
actually
you
I get things about it actually still. Like they have removed it.
are you kidding me?
Nope,
That is your music.
my song, and that's what I fought it back, and they put it back on, and then they remove it, and they do it again, and yep.
So
Mhm.
here's the thing, because I know you've recently gotten onto TikTok.
Yep. Mhm.
And so I visited your Facebook today, obviously, because I knew we were going to have you on this podcast. Not like I haven't been on your Facebook, but I went and revisited it just to refresh myself on things. And I think I remember you posting something about, because Facebook's just not really music friendly.
Yeah, it's actually more music friendly than I think. I've come to realize now, pretty much because all of my fan base are my Facebook friends.
Mhm.
So, now I've kind of turned back the page a little bit and said to myself, well, all these people I've met and maybe inspired over so many years on Facebook, by doing a video or showing a trick or something like that, I should owe them more allegiance to trying to start in another spot, which I did well at the other spot when I still post TikTok, but kind of came back more to Facebook because it's more genuinely people that I know. Even though the problem with Facebook though is you only reach a certain amount of people, so you don't get thrown into all your friends' feed. I got like almost 5,000 friends, so I'm not going to get my post put into 5,000 feed. To pick 50, 30, maybe 50 people or 30 people. So that needs to change. I think that if you're gonna have friends and you post something, then it should go to the people that are your friends' feed. I just think that's
But then on the other hand, it's the responsibility also of the follower to you have to, because if like I like you personally on Facebook, I've liked your page, and then from CU Bands and Fans, we like you as well, so that we can get you on our feed on CU Bands Fans. I can get you on my feed on Terry Miller Brown. Now you don't show up as much on our CU Bands and Fans one,
Mhm.
but it's our responsibility as a follower or a friend or whatever, your fans, to click off that default. Because when you like or follow someone, you're automatically in the default. But so
Oh,
you have to click down to favorite, or whatever, that it gives you some options. But if you just hit like and then bounce off of it, you're going to go into the default, which is they can just whatever.
ah,
Our responsibility as a follower of you and a fan of you to make sure that you're in our favorite,
sure.
and then we'll get all your stuff.
Huh, I never thought of it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's both ways. Facebook is always social media is always both ways. It's the
Mhm.
responsibility of you to reach out and make sure that you're reaching out to your fans and followers, and the responsibility of the fans and followers to make sure they're getting your posts.
Right. Yeah. And I like TikTok too, 'cause TikTok's been awesome for me. Yeah, I've met a lot of awesome people. Like I got a buddy in Australia now that sings like the deepest voice I've ever heard in my life. Um, just people all over the world. Like same thing with Facebook. I mean, it's the good thing about social media. And both platforms offer something the same but different. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, I think on Facebook you have more. I think there's more time. I mean, TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, so when you said you were going to go to TikTok, I was like,
Bummer.
because the way you sounded, it was like you're not going to be on Facebook that much. And But also at that time, there was so much discourse on Facebook.
That's the big issue is there's too much discourse. Yeah, and then you nailed it point blank there. A lot of drama, but it's actually eased up a lot, I think.
Yeah, it has. It's
Yeah.
really eased up quite a bit. And I think that you just kind of like have to pick and choose. Like I decided probably this beginning of this year, I'm like, I don't know these people here that like keep coming up on my feed and stuff. I mean, I like everybody that's following or whatever on my personal page, but I don't really know them. And so I'm like, these are who I want to like really get notification if something's happening.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
again, it was my responsibility to go, let me change this up, to who I really want to get, information from. Changing that up brought more just art and music and creativity and those kind of things that I really want to know about.
Sure.
Instead of drama and what you ate for dinner and all that kind of, I don't care about that stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
What I want to know is who's got some new music, when their music's coming out, or where somebody's playing, or to listen to their new stuff. All that's all the stuff that I want to know. So speaking of which, we had Tom Brim on a couple of weeks ago, and you have worked with him.
Yeah.
Most for this new release that you have coming. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So that experience came about because I wrote a song called They Don't Make Parking Spots Big Enough for My Truck. That's my my next video that I want to do. So that yeah, it's gonna be kind of like a comedic yeah, there'd be a bunch of different things in it, But so the cool thing with that came was I called Tom and I said, I want to come down and record this song. And I going to Blackbird, I mean I could go anywhere. I could go to Tolono or someplace else and such. And really it was for me to be like, all right, Joe, you can record in a studio like that. You can go down there as a solo artist and do it. So just go do it, right? And so as I talked to Tom about it, he's like, well, maybe I can get Dave Rowe on it. And I'm sure Josh would be into it. I was like, you think you can get Dave on it? He's like, yeah, I'll see if I can get Dave on it. And he hears back from Dave and says, yeah, I'm down. When do you want to do it? And then Josh is like, I'm down. I'm like, oh, if I'm going to get Dave Rowe on this, I'm going to book it now. So I booked it, and just for specifically that one song. But Tom's like, well, have 4 or 5 just so we can throw some more out there. And so that's what I did. I brought down some more tunes too. Yeah. What else what else can I say about it? I guess it's just really a badass experience.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What was that experience like being there? And
yeah, the coolest part of with one thing that's cool is you go down with the sound in mind, right? So I went down that parking spot sound was like I kind of have a Bob Seger feel. I'm like I think I want to think of it like a rock and roll 70s early 70s rock and roll Bob Seger thing. And I get down there and we do scratch tracks. So before we go in the studio, we go to Tom's house, or I went to Tom's house and recorded some scratch tracks. So that way the musicians can hear what it sounds like when they come in the studio the next day. So Dave and Josh listen to it, and Dave's like, well, I kind of hear it going one way or another. I'm like, take it any way you want to take it, And then he took it one way, totally different than I expected. Not even close to Bob Seger. But it's super freaking awesome because it's like JJ Cale, So I went down with the thought of Bob Seger, but the song came out like a JJ Cale because just given the freedom of the artist that you hire to do what they want to do. Because my opinion is it's not just me, it's everybody else. I mean, the coolest thing with the album is you can listen to just the drum and the bass, and then when you throw me in it, it's like, well, what the hell is this? First you hear Kentucky, throw your feet up in the air, Kentucky beats and stuff, and then Then I come in the picture and there's like this South Side Chicago type of blues feel. So it's kind of like Tom kind of said, like South Side honky tonk. I was like, yeah, that's a good way to put it, you know. So that's kind of what it sounds like. Actually, it's like South Side honky tonk. If you would think like that sound like, I guess, yeah.
I can't wait. When is this going to be released?
Well, I just added pedal steel, or we just added pedal steel to it last month on a couple tunes, and that's really cool. We got Eddie Dunlap. Now Eddie plays with everybody. He's at the Opry all the time. He's like the Opry's main backup guy, you know. He just recorded with some big name people and just played the CMT awards behind some folks. I mean, he's everywhere, you know. So I got Eddie, you know, Eddie Dunlap on it. I was like, dude, I want you to solo on this one song. He's like solo? I'm like, yeah, just I want you to like take the full solo. So there's a song I'm releasing called John Wayne, and it's all there's a pedal steel solo. It's badass. It's kick ass. Yeah, it's like something you never heard before. Yeah,
Wow.
really cool. So the experience is fun in that concept, and I look at the band as all part of it. It's not just me or them. So I'm also contemplating releasing just a track of bass and drums for one of the songs. I'm gonna release a couple of scratch tracks because I thought they're pretty cool to keep. There's no reason to throw them away. So just
That's
me
really
solo,
cool.
you know. And
I
just
like,
release, yeah.
yeah, that's well, I think I can't wait. And but you don't know when it's going to be released yet?
Well, see, so we recorded it in July last year, July 24th or so.
No
And I
kidding.
told Tom, what's that?
No kidding.
Hmm.
July
Of last year, and so I didn't tell anybody about it, and just kind of kept it on the down low a little bit, you know. And I was like, well, it takes 10 months to have a baby, you know, if you're going to be pregnant and have a baby, you know. So I was like, let's shoot for April or May, you know, so to release it. And I'm like, well, I'm in no hurry, really. I'm just kind of taking my time, let it sink, letting it rest. Um, I'm like, July would be a good time because I still want to come up with some cover art. And you know, the name of it's going to be called Root Beer Sessions because I like root beer a lot, and so I'm a big root beer guy.
What's that? He did tell us about the root beer sessions, but he wouldn't tell us anymore. He wouldn't tell the titles or any, he wouldn't tell us any of that.
Yeah, so there's so yeah, the titles, the way I kind of have it running is going to be my version of Mystery Train first, and then Parking Spots, and then John Wayne. There's another tune called Put You in the Grave, which is really cool because it has Dave doing a solo and Josh Hunt doing a solo. So they kind of do these two different solos, and then Dave's playing stand-up bass on everything. So it's just badass. Um, so there's that, and it's root beer sessions because they kind of laughed at me because I always brought root beer. I'd be like, hey, you want a root beer?
I'm a root beer person, so like, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I thought about, okay, do I release this as Joe Asselin? So I think I may just be called Joe Asselin Back Porch Root Beer. Or I'm not sure yet what
Yeah.
I don't know. Root Beer Session sounds pretty cool because the album's gonna represent the whole session. You know, like we recorded it live. You know, it was me, Dave, and Josh. You know, recorded as a trio, and then I added stuff later. You know, but the heart and soul of it was us three. You know, doing it. But just taking me out of the equation so you can just hear what Josh and Dave are doing. The intricate feeling of everything is just unbelievable. I'm like, the world needs to hear that. I mean, if you put me in it, they may still hear it, but they're not going to hear it if it's just by themselves, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well,
and
that's
I,
pretty cool.
and I asked Dave about it. I was like, hey, are you cool if I release something like that? And he's like, do it. I'm like, all right, game on.
This because and I like what you said about the scratch recordings. I don't think I know anybody that's done that. You know, went ahead and released the scratch. So that's I think that's kind of stuff that I really dig. Like I dig the background things and the raw stuff and all of that in the making of what you have, what you end up putting out there.
Thanks.
So,
Yeah, and really the album, I wanted to represent the whole experience. I think, I think it's good for people to know you don't just go in the studio and put a song out. There's a lot of things that kind of go into it. But there's also the experience that can be captured. And it's weird because it's a vibe. It's not something that you get taught, or you can be like, hey, have this vibe. There's an actual essence during the session that really can be felt in the recording, because we all just had a nice, chill, relaxed time. Everything was super just chill.
how long did this take you?
And we recorded it, got there at 11, and then we were done recording with Dave and Josh at like 3:34.
The same day?
Mhm.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say a week.
No.
Like, wow.
No,
So when you get there, you just you got to hit it hard and get it all done.
well, but the thing is, that doesn't happen. That's not like, that's something to never expect to have happen. Like those things, I think, only happen because of the essence. Like a true vibe of not feeling rushed, or a true vibe of feeling not just music, but the actual energy of each other. I think there's so much more than just going into the studio and push and record. That an artist needs to be an artist, like no matter who they are, and it has to be an artist environment, relaxed and chill, and nothing. But if it's not, man, I've been in sessions where it took us all day to record one song.
Yeah.
That's serious.
That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking. But I love that too.
Yeah, it was super beautiful. It was really and I guess they still talk about the experience. Blackbird even mentioned how much of a chill session is, and people still, from what Tom told me, people still mention it. It's pretty cool,
Yeah.
And I was scared to go down to it because this Blackbird, I'm going by myself, and this is going to be my stuff. I'm like, can I do it? I'm like, am I worthy? So that's the main reason why went to Blackbird and work with Tom. And working with Tom's awesome. So
Yeah. You got that.
Yeah. I mean, Tom is there's no other Tom.
No,
True. Yeah.
we absolutely loved him on our podcast. We've known Tom anyway, but to have him on the podcast and get to know a little bit about his background and his stories and all of that's fascinating. He truly is an incredible person. Everybody should know Tom Brim.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, you're gonna really like the album, especially since you said you like my harmonica. There's a couple tunes, Mystery Train, you're gonna really like. Boogie, another tune called Boogie. I think that's the only. I don't think I put harmonica on 2 songs on the album. I think that's it. But I dig that. Yeah, I didn't want to over. No, 3 songs. There's 3 songs of harmonica. Sorry.
And how many songs are on this?
All right, so Mystery Train, Put You in the Grave, Parking Spots, John Wayne, Bad Card Gambler, Sometimes You Win, Boogie. So there's 7, and then I'm adding 2 scratch tracks, so that'd be 9, and then I'm adding. I want to do a bass and drum track. I think it's just really awesome. You can actually just sit there and drive and be like, "This is cool," There's no words, no guitar, no nothing. It's just straight up live recorded stand-up bass with one of the best drummers in Nashville.
I absolutely cannot wait to hear this. So Joe, are you where you want to be?
Meaning?
Are you where you want to be with music? Are you where I think you're where you want to be, as far as geographically. I think you've got that, so you have that property. We'll talk Because Tom was telling us, and Zach brought this up when we had that podcast with Tom, that you had didn't you have Tiffany out there,
Yep. Hmm.
their property? So you actually had a few, I'm gonna say private, they weren't really hugely public, but kind of private live music sessions out there.
Yeah. To answer the first part about where I want to be, I don't think I'll ever know where I want to be. I think the ultimate place to be would be in a situation where you had a management that would book you, and you can make your own, t-shirts and stuff, and just play music and consistently and do it. But it's a very hard run. I've done touring, but I'm also a lot more mature now than I had been. So, and as far as going forward, I'm always going to want to write more. So I don't think I ever will be where I want to be with music. Now, geographically, the area is awesome. Champagne's always been great. There's a lot more opportunities elsewhere in different places, but at the time now, we have a property, and then my mowing business, and landscaping and stuff, and I'm playing music, and trying to balance everything. The events at the pond, they are the reason why we try to do like not a private thing. It was more like invite one person so they can invite somebody else, so that way that kind of would catapult into like, oh, this person's cool, I'm going to invite this person, and then they're only allowed to like invite one person, or I mean, just because coming to the land is a different experience, and it's not like a really like, we don't want people just like going down there and be like, hey, type of thing.
Yeah. So, but you did have Tiffany out there.
We sure did. Hmm. Yeah. In
How
fact,
did that happen? I thought I heard something about she had come to something out there, not as a singer, but just to visit, and then you ended up getting her to sing.
oh no, she was there for a show. So the whole thing was, so this was 2020, so it was right in the heat of COVID, right? And so it was in September, I believe. And there was another breakout, I think, because of Labor Day or something, and like the governor said you weren't allowed to have more than 25 people, or something like that. And so there was a big scare. So we had to tell Tiffany that she's only allowed to have like 25 people. Tell the publicist that, or promotional person, or whatever. Of course, they weren't too happy about it, but it was a gig and it was a spot. Um, and they already had it booked, and it was with Tom, so Tom made it happen. But yeah, it was literally, I think at the most there was 35 people maybe, and then after Tiffany played, Black Eyed Lilies played, and then Tiffany and we all hung out, had a good time, and then she invited us to go play again that weekend and open up for her again. And where's it, Effingham? I think it was in Effingham. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what a great, that's great. I mean, that's, and that pond, um, we will not give away location or anything like that, but you guys have built quite the, it's kind of creative and artsy, yet functional, and it's such a cool vibe out there. And as I brought David Woolridge's son out there, you
Oh yeah.
asked you person, you allowed us to come out there to do his senior photos, and it was the perfect spot for that kid. It just, I couldn't imagine where I would do his senior photos at, 'cause, he's a different kind of kid. He's got his
Oh, yeah.
own uniqueness and individuality, and I was like, out of Joe's pond, that'll work. And it did. It
You got
was
some
great.
awesome shots. Yeah, you got a really good shot of him. Like he's looking to the sky. He's like on a log, I think.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
right.
on that tree, that one tree
You
out
know
there.
what's
Clamber up.
what's interesting about that location is I know where it is. I know exactly where it is now, but I've been out there a few times. But at first, I won't say what the address is, but I had gotten the address somehow, and I tried looking it up on
It's not
Google
on.
Maps and Google Earth, and it gave me two different places that were like 5 or 6 miles apart.
Mhm. So Mindy had to find out you have to write it exactly a certain way in Google Maps for it to come up. So if it's like, for instance, 100 County Road, you can't put 100, CT whatever RD. You got to do County Road. You got to spell out County Road. That's why that happens. Yeah.
I did the same thing, Zach.
Yeah.
I like
Oh yeah. Yeah. Many people do that. They're like, we're all in Urbana, or we're in Tolono, or where are you? We're totally lost.
exactly.
Happens all the time.
We're
Yeah.
until exactly that. Right.
Yeah.
What are your what do you so you okay, you mentioned really quickly that merch and because I was like, and I wish Joe had some t-shirts because I would have been wearing one tonight for this podcast. So I'm like, I don't think Joe's ever had any t-shirts. You think you'll do some merch, Joe?
I will. I had at one point I had these flathead Ford shirts made up, and there's a very few of them out, but that's about it. For this album, I I want to release. That's why it's taken so long. I still really haven't figured out exactly how I want to release it. Um, Definitely merchandise because it's going to be about root beer. So everything's going to be based around root beer. Yeah.
Can't
So
wait.
ever since I don't drink anymore, but I drink coffee and root beer. That's my thing, and I'm gonna figure out how to make some. That's what my goal is too. Just make some root beer.
I bet you'll do it. Like
Yeah,
have that big root beer thing out of your property. Big root beer
yeah,
music.
exactly. Yeah, big like neon root beer sign, flashing root beer. It'd be cool.
Fantastic. But anyway, you mentioned that, and then something about like, would you like to tour again?
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Yeah.
Would you like to be? I mean, you're pretty you're pretty busy with your business, with your landscaping and all that. You've kind of built that from scratch and just kind of boomed and awesome equipment. Like you got the whole thing going on with that. But would you? Well, shoot, you could probably one of your guys could probably be a manager or something, and you could just take off. Like if you could tour with your own music and representing your own music, would you?
Yeah. Mhm.
So would you like to become a full-time musician?
Well, okay, so full-time musician. Okay, this is where this is the tricky part. At one point, you could have considered me a full-time musician. I was gigging 20 plus gigs a month, but I was also at a point working 3 gigs. I was working 3 jobs and gigging 20 gigs a month. So, I mean, the problem with music sometimes is the money thing. And when I had came back to music, because when I left it, I was like, I'm just burned out. I came back to it, the concept that I hate saying how much it costs for me to get booked, because money's good. And I mean, I make good money mowing yards, believe it or not, and do well doing that. But you should get paid for your talent and for gigging. At the same time, I'm like, once you put a value on your art, it's not so much art anymore, but you have to, right? Because you got to, you know. So that's where the manager comes involved, because I don't like being on well, how much for a gig? Oh, so and so this much, and you're like, maybe I should get more, or maybe was that too much, or did I ask too much? And then, but musician, you should be getting a solo act for 2 hours. You should be getting $300. That's kind of how I look at it. If you can get, what's that?
Not $100.
Not 100. No, should be at least 300, because you got 2 hours. You got to bring a PA. It's $150 an hour. I mean, heck, but I'm booking gigs as a duo for that sometimes, because places don't want to pay it as a solo. So,
Yeah.
But I'm also not booking much, so I don't really know. I'm just kind of I'm surfing the wave, I guess, as you can say. That's kind of been my motto: is surf the wave. The wave will get you where you need to go. If you try to ride the wave, you'll wreck and you have to get back on the surfboard. But if you just surf the waves, you get there. But yeah, financial wise, that's the biggest issue, right? So how do you put money in the equation and be a full-time musician and not really have money as being an issue? And still stay artistic and still really enjoy the art and doing what you do. And I think that's where a manager really helps in that concept. I could probably be a full-time musician if I didn't have to deal with being like, hey, how much do I got to get paid here? Where's my next gig? You know,
Had set, it's set. This is what it costs to have me for like an hour or 2 hours, or or if you have to drive a distance, of course, there's additional, all of that, and then the manager could work that out and schedule it, and and all of the communication and all that stuff that musicians really, they just want to get the gig and go,
musicians need to be musicians.
yeah,
That's
they just want to play their music. That's what they do. They're,
yeah.
and sometimes there's musicians that are entertainers. And they're all musicians are performers when they're when at a gig, you're performing, period. And so I'm glad that I asked that question. I'm glad that you answered it the way you did. I think that that's kind of important, and I hope a lot of people hear it, because I think that is kind of a compliment. I do sense that you would enjoy being a full-time musician if you had somebody to manage you and your time and the money and all that. Not manage your money, but manage getting yeah.
Yeah. I decided to mow yards. I said, I try to balance life out. I'm going to mow yards and but now I'm at I mow a lot of yards now, so, and I'm like, I got a lot of people that I've handshaked that I'm going to be there to do your work, so, it's always hard to work all day, come home, pick up a guitar and be like, hey, let's play some music, so the balancing is kind of there, but not perfect. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's why, doing original music and stuff and recording, I think is a good answer because you're still doing your music and you're still, basically performing, you're recording it to be out there. That's kind of a good answer as opposed to out gigging all the time, especially running your own business, and you're managing your own business. You've got employees, that you're responsible.
Not anymore, just me and my wife, and then one part-time guy comes back in May.
Kidding? Okay,
Yeah.
you had a whole crew a few years back.
I did. It's too stressful. I'm more at peace mowing yards by myself.
It is.
Yeah, it's too stressful.
Yeah, because people have changed, and attitudes towards work has changed tremendously. But how does Mindy feel about this?
Oh, she's all for it.
Mindy's like your number one person supporter, and you guys posted that video. I hope I'm not babbling here. I don't know. It seems like I'm babbling, but
No.
you guys posted that video of she bought you that guitar and hung it up on that wall, and then you came in and sat down on the couch and played this guitar and didn't see it for a while. And I was like, Mindy is so awesome to do that.
Well, it really worked out in her favor because I had no idea it was there. She was looking forward to these I can't wait to get the surprise, and then it actually took a little bit for that to escalate because I had no idea. I was literally sitting on the couch and it was behind my head, and I have guitars on the wall all the time. I got them hanging on the walls. And,
yeah, so you did. I was watching it going, turn around, Joe. Turn around, Joe. There's a new guitar there, Joe.
The big chrome guitar just shining on the wall. How can you not see it? Yeah. One person commented, "This can't be real." Oh yeah, full on real. Yeah, yeah.
So good. So she's such a cool person and just such a great.
She's super. She is. She's super supportive of being who you are. So the goal in life, right, is to find out who you are and be that person, right? And can you make a living at being who you are, or do you got to go do something for somebody else that doesn't allow you to be who you are? And so we're both in that mentality right now that we both want to be who we are. And I want to pursue my music and stop, kicking stones and questioning it and thinking I'm not good enough, or am I good enough? I'm gonna put it away. Should I play anymore? Let's throw it away. I'm not good enough. Those battles are always gonna be there, and I'm just one of those guys that just deal with it. Um, she wants me to do this, and just like I want her to pursue her bug butter that she makes. So because she makes a phenomenal bug butter that it's a bug repellent, and it's a it's a SPF, and it's all sort it takes away poison ivy and
Get
poison
out of here.
oak and sumac. Oh my God, it's miracle butter. Yeah, and the thing is, she only made it because she wanted to go fishing at the pond, because like we don't like using that spray off the DEET stuff. And so
Yeah.
she's like, and being a massage therapist, she knows all these essential oils. And so she put together this batch, and that's the only reason why she made it, because she wanted to go fishing and she didn't want to spray herself with off. And the stuff's amazing. So I just want her to pursue that. And, I want to pursue music, and
That needs to get, we need to get that out there because
oh,
there's so many people that don't want, I don't use off ever. I don't.
this stuff's amazing. It's unbelievable. Like, okay, so what I was a true believer. At first, I was like, yeah, whatever. You made some concoction that's gonna, whatever. Yeah, not gonna work. And so we're fishing, and I'm like, oh, where's the off? And I'm spraying myself, and I get it on my face. It's on my lips. It's on my glasses.
Mm.
I'm like, this sucks. And then I'm looking at Mindy. Mind you, this is like in August. Like right after we bought it. This is like in August, and their mosquitoes are everywhere, and they're just, and above her there's this like tornado of mosquitoes above her, just twirling around above her, and I'm just slapping them away on me. I'm like, right. Yeah, after spraying that stupid off stuff on me, and like after that I was like, I ain't using that, and ever since I just use that bug butter, and it's like this force field. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
That is wonderful. She needs to, yeah, that could be big. That could be really big.
And I always believe that the best things are made for purpose, not made to be sold. Like she didn't make it to be like, hey, I'm going to sell this stuff. She's like, I want to go fishing. I don't like off, Bert's beeswax, like Bert was like, I don't like this. I want to use something better for my lips because they keep getting chapped, and Bert's beeswax gets created, so.
That's wonderful. I love that. I love the creativity in people. I absolutely love it. So she would be 100% supportive if you went full time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do you think she would tour with you? And
No.
because let me tell you something, you are good enough,
Thanks.
and you're more than good enough, actually. Yeah, I think in today's world, because of social media and because people's attention span, which is nil, that is so hard. It's so hard to get captured and heard. And what I mean by captured is there are some songs. I think you did a song. I think it was you. You did a song. I heard it and it captured me. And I had to have it.
Oh, that William Martellus tune that I wrote.
Yes.
That.
Oh my God. I was just reminded of that.
Yeah.
But that's
a
what
good
I'm.
tune.
It is. I heard that you performed it, I think. And I thought, I just stopped everything. That's what I mean. Yeah, on social media, it's so hard to get that capture. But once you do, that's it. Because I had to have that song. I was like, I think I messaged you. It was like, can you email? Do you have that song anywhere? Please tell me that you have it. And you emailed it. And I treasure that. Honest to God, I treasure that. But that's what I'm talking about. If it captures someone like that, then that's it. It's like a photo,
I think that song was called "I Won't Break," right? That's the
Yes. Oh
I
my
won't.
God. I'm gonna
Mhm.
attach it to this podcast.
That's a great tune. Yeah,
Yeah.
throw it out there if you want. That's don't think anybody's ever really heard that out there.
Oh,
So you have more. Throw it out there. Yeah, that's
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Like that.
Nick Elam singing that tune on that. Yeah, that's the William Marcella band. So Nick Elam's. Who's playing drums? I think that's Justin Culp on drums and Noah Williams. But Nick's playing bass and singing on that. He's a phenomenal vocalist.
Have you heard of Zach?
I have, but no, he told me about it. He's doing a blues act now. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I can't. That's what I'm talking about. That's what gets me with original music is, and I do liken that to taking photos. You can take a picture and sometimes you grip that capture, and that's a whole different story. It's not the same. It's not the same. And that's what you do. Your music is incredible live. You are so fun to watch, and just so I just gotta say it's just intense, incredibly intense, great. You are really, you're a fantastic person. You're a tremendous musician, and you're a hell of a songwriter.
Thank you.
So it's been an absolute, I thank you for being on our podcast.
Oh no, thank you for having me. This has been awesome. I appreciate you taking the time. And it's my first podcast. And
Oh,
hey,
really?
yeah,
Well,
this is
last.
yeah.
We'll get you hanging there. We're gonna end this on that note, and hang in there because we always get a selfie.